Hello and welcome to the 108th edition, believe it or not, of the Wright Experience. I'm Dr. William Wright Jr., the founder and host of this show. I am excited to bring to you yet another amazing episode featuring the very best leaders and entrepreneurs that I can find throughout the United States. This particular episode marks the last episode of the 2023 school year. Or calendar year, actually. And we will begin right back on January 4th with another new guest as we embark upon the 2024 and beyond school year. I'd like to wish everyone, first of all, happy holidays. And we hope that all is well with you and yours. And we appreciate your support for this podcast and the work that we try to do as often as we can. We're looking forward to expanding our portfolio, and tonight's episode in particular is certainly no exception. I met this gentleman that we're about to bring to you in New Orleans at the National Association of Black School Educators Conference. Very recently, we were actually attending a function together, and about 5 minutes into the conversation, I knew that the audience that we serve would certainly benefit from his leadership and expertise and the amazing things that he is doing as a servant in the world of educational leadership and so forth. So we'll bring him on shortly. My guest for this episode of the Wright Experience is Dr. Josue Falaise. Dr. Josue Falaise is the founder and CEO of GOMO Educational Services. He is a former teacher, principal, assistant superintendent, and chief academic officer with experience in suburban and urban school districts. His kindergarten through 12th grade experience spans over 20 years. During those years, he was a devoted servant leader, engineering programs that would level the playing field for his students, building the capacity of staff, and fostering inimical relationships that he maintains with former staff, students, and colleagues today. Dr. Falaise was the director of the Rutgers Institute for Improving Student Achievement, RISA, at the Rutgers University Graduate School of Education, RGSE. During his time at RGSE, Dr. Falaise traveled the globe, working with over 100 school district, organizational leadership teams, and higher education institutions to help them design systems of addressing equity. District organization leaders and their teams participated in short-term and long-term growth opportunities like conferences, network opportunities, keynote presentations, and perennial in-district organizational training across the United States to review, critique, and redesign systems, policies, procedures, and practices for equity and equal access and opportunity for students and clientele. We'll talk also about how you can reach out to Dr. Falaise for his services and his work, which is groundbreaking and life-changing throughout the United States. And so at this time, I'd like to present my new acquaintance and friend and brother, Dr. Josue Falaise. Welcome to the Wright Experience, my brother.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Wright.
It's good to have you here. I am so excited. I think we talked for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I said, look, I got to have you on my podcast. I want you to have the opportunity to impart some knowledge and wisdom into the lives of the folks that have joined this audience that we've been trying to grow since 2021. So let's get right into it. Talk to us about your organization and how you serve the world of education. We'll start with that.
So I oversee an institute that provides PD and executive level training to anyone and everyone that deals with children, both directly and indirectly. So we have this vision of empowering agency and voice in adults so they can show how to have agency and voice for students. So we basically model that expectations through whatever platform or whatever service that a client or potential client may need.
Okay. Limited or not limited, any educational organization, charter schools, I'm assuming public school.
Anyone that deals with children, both directly and indirect. So it could even be educational private companies. So we work with private companies also. So if you deal with if you deal with children, whether you're the CEO or superintendent, or whatever, student lead officer, all the way down to like the students, meaning the life that's looking for enrichment, whether you deal with them directly or indirectly, we will love to have the opportunity to service you.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So upon conversation initially, even some pre-conversation that we had in preparing for the show, I have learned that you are extremely passionate about this work that you're doing. I won't give away your trade secret, but even so much to, you've said to me, all I need is time with folks, and I can convince them that we can help them get better. So why are you so passionate? Talk to us about that passion for what you do.
So I'm gonna tell one story about me, and it comes with just entering the space of anyone that I deal with, and it starts off with just my name. It's, as you can see, it's Dr. Josue Falaise. Josue is very difficult to pronounce for certain individuals, especially if you're not French. And then Falaise is a whole nother thing where it is easier. So some people tend to say, you know what, let me just say Falaise or Dr. J or Dr. F. The reason why I'm passionate is when I was younger and educators could not pronounce my name.
Mm-hmm.
So they just changed my name. Not just my first name, but also my last name. Now, I'm giving you a secret. I used to do this in trainings, but they actually changed it. Said like they found, I guess you find like names or Americanized names or anglicized names, and then they changed that for my first name and my last name. So not just my first name, but also my last name. So for the first 46 years of my life, I went as Josue Falaise. So anyone who's known me from grade school, high school, I didn't actually I actually went by my Joshua even in college, master's program, but I actually started writing my name as Josue, because when people started seeing that, they were like, how do you get Josue? How do you get the Josh out of that? But I just knew, because I had to still go by the government, because that's, in college it starts changing things. But I used to be embarrassed to even write Josue from 12th grade lower. Didn't even want to write it. I remember even telling people, because of my darker skin at that time, I went to a number of schools that we were probably the only Black family as myself and my family, or of two through my education career, K-12 experience. So I would tell people like we were not from Haiti, because Haiti had a negative connotation as far as being the poorest country in the world, like a third world country. People didn't realize about the resource. So it's like I had my name and where my origin is from, my ethnicity. So the reason why I'm passionate is, if I had to hide my name, the actual given name, hide where I'm from, how many other people are doing the same thing? Yeah. And even more so, how many adults have gone through it, and how many students are going through it, but then how can we help? And that's ultimately why I'm passionate. And just each year, like I'm when I was in the principal, I became assistant superintendent, I got more passionate. When I was assistant superintendent, I went to higher ed, I got more passionate. Now I'm in a company, I'm just even more passionate, because we're looking to be able to impact a larger footprint of people for the greater good of number of students, or number of children, or number of people, because that old time of oppression, it to me, I'm looking at it for it to stop. And any God-given gifts that I have right now, they're just manifesting. I'm just happy to see people seeing value in that, and it just gives me driving, not just for those who are receiving, but those who also that have joined GOMO, and we want to be on this journey with you. So it just get me more excited to be able to share that joy and that love, but even more like the light of this future that we envision.
But you also chose, I heard in there, you also chose to not waddle in the fact that you had to make the adjustments to get, through college and so forth, but you use that as motivation to get to where you are now.
That is correct.
Which I also think is important.
That is correct. So, I mean, to be real, I had a chip. So it's more like a chip because of all the things I've had to go in the past. More like, why did I have to go through that in certain of the individuals, whether it be Americanized or a different culture, they didn't have to. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to keep pushing. I have something to prove. So those were things that actually pushed me forward. And now it's like, I don't need to push me forward. I'm at a point where society says that as a Black man, you need a bachelor's. So I get it. Then it says you need a master's to really get someone. Then I get it. Then it says you need experience. I go get it. Then it says you need a doctorate. I go get it. Then it says, you need to, the only thing right now, as far as like what I believe society says, like at least in my role, is publishing an actual book. I'm a published author through different contributions. But that's the last thing. It's more like, what else do I need to give you?
Yeah. So is that on the way? Is that, or am I giving away?
I always say stay tuned.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Very good. So speaking of conversation, we've kind of gone on, perfect for my next question. So now that GOMO is established and running well and well on the way to achieving these great milestones, talk to us about how, though, you support systems that allow for equal access for today's students. How do we figure that out?
So initially, when I was training through Rutgers, I used to train a lot of teachers, and their constant gripe was, we learn these great things, but then we go back to the school systems. Not even my school principal or assistant principal knows what we're doing. They can't like support us. They can't guide us. And in some cases, like they're not even on the same page. So then because of my administrative experience, I said, you know what, let me start focusing on the leaders. One, they have the financial power to be able to make the decisions for those things, and to bring in something new, but even more so sustaining it. It comes from the principals all the way up, not just principals for the school, but superintendents, assistant supes for the district level. And so my focus now became more of this dealing with superintendents and assistant supes, or the more executive cabinet individuals, because as we look to really change culture district wide and sustain it, you need I wouldn't say power players, but then those superordinates to not only see it, not only just pay for it, but then even more so champion the work. And once they believe in it, this is something that they are championing. They're going out promoting, they're living, and people see that. They're like, if my leader's doing that, I now need to do the same thing. And they say, like, if you see someone living it and that's who they are 100%, you never need to question it. So I look to always try to train the leaders first, to, obviously if it's available, and then once people see that, all right, we see this, we bought in, we feel that we have we're conversant at least a little with it, but then as we even train the staff, we do still ask administrators to come, because that reinforcement still only helps people with their capacity building. And then while they're learning together, that's actually where we start actually moving as a culture. Additionally, when we're doing it together, meaning the admin had that first bit of training first, and then the staff and admin still part of it, they're moving as a whole because they're seeing people buy in collectively. Even my super is gonna, they're saying even my superintendent sat through the whole session and asking questions, allowing us to have like a safe space. People feel much more excited. Like, I didn't feel like I have to walk on pins and needles, like I couldn't say something. And that also shows that the teachers, support staff, or support personnel feels like if they're going to do that, be there, be present, now I can fully buy in. I don't have any excuse. And then ultimately, how do we support the district leadership on how to create to decrease barriers for that? And I use like this same sort of format because that's what I used to run a school.
Okay.
as a principal. I've been to several different schools, but it was more like each school, I would say I became a much better administrator. So that my last school that I was at for 6 years, it was, you kind of transform or reform and leave, but then looked at sustainability. That last school I was at for 6 years, I came in, I gauged anecdotally where people are at. I came in with a plan based on what I heard, what the needs were. I built the capacity of certain individuals to be like the leaders in those areas of, lesson planning, rigor. Guys, like 4 different topics. After I trained the PLC leaders, that way teachers went to those PLC leaders. They didn't have to come to me or the vice principal,
Right.
because they realized that my own peer is going to like help me, and we're doing this together. As far as they're in those classrooms alongside with you, they're in those PLCs with you. Those at the time we started with team meetings, but then I built the capacity to become PLC meetings, like real high performing professional learning communities. We went as far as devised curriculum units, the formative assessments, summative assessments. We were having staff walk around to visit other classrooms, providing feedback to others. They developed a tool that was non-evaluative as far as like learning from each other. They were giving feedback. We were doing textbook and literature studies. They were, taking notes, going back, watching videos. So I saw the system because once I empowered them, they went to each other. And it was more like just constantly uplifting people, because they realized I'm going through this, and I decreased barriers. A lot of things that came from the district. I showed them how when we do this, we're coherent with that. So all the new initiative, we're already doing that. I just got to shift certain things. I want to take less work off of you. So, I removed like even 5-day-a-week lesson plans.
Mm-hmm.
Like no more lesson plans. Once we did the curriculum, we don't have to even give no more finals and midterms. I showed them how to do that. So once, students attained the learning objective, and for that unit, we don't need to go back over it again, especially once it scaffolds. So these are kind of the principles, things that I did as a principal. I've taken now on as a professional developer and model that for districts to see in institutional organizations, that because I was able to do that, sustain it, we became, recognized at the state level. People would come for visit from other schools, other states, and see those different things and type of partnerships. And I'll give you like one for sustainability with, we had got it's called a Talent 2-1 program, where we received $1 million from the state this is back in 2011, $1 million just for technology. Now, It wasn't just for the tool, but it was sort of how do we like maneuver funds around. So with that $1 million, after the grant ran out, so staff got computers, students got laptops. We had the clicker devices, because they were like $17,000 a packet, but every single teacher had that. We had all our smart boards upgraded, technology, like the outlets upgraded. We had staff come on. The thing now, we'll talk about sustainability. That grant was for 2 years. Once that grant comes over, it's over. What do? We create a system. How do we do that? I looked at even how repurposing or reorganizing staff based on certificate, that we were able to keep those extra individuals 2 salaries on staff after the money was out. We were able to work out warranties even though that money was out, how to sustain that. And the way the school district operated, we were the only school in our district out of 6 schools that had more technology in one school than the whole district combined. So like even like the district had they had a technology informational people. We had one for our own school. We're the only school that did that. And people, how is Grace Will they doing that? But it's like, how do I look at the sustainability to perform that work? And that's basically the kind of work that I'm looking to help districts do also.
And every single thing just about that I heard you talk about is common sense stuff. It's not some magic formula. Doesn't appear to be bells and whistles like we hear about all the time. You're just talking about basically looking at ways to enhance the organization and tap into resources. Now, maybe I'm oversimplifying, but really, I didn't hear. I've not heard you talk a lot about, and I've always believed this, by the way. We can purchase stuff sometimes, and we're really not helping the bottom line. But it's just a common sense approach to getting better.
However,
what you're talking about.
I would say not everyone fully understands how to do that.
Right,
And
sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. Takes folks to help us learn how to do that for sure.
That is correct.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
So in a nutshell, after all that, the main thing is, how do we create a plan and then work the system according to that plan? Meaning we tried this and that didn't work. Great. Let's meet together as a team to start looking at what are some other avenues or alternate ways according to that plan. And it's just constant working that plan, revising that plan, modifying it. And if it doesn't work, sometimes even scrapping it, looking to start something new because it just the culture changed and you do something different. But it's like understanding how to work that is the way to sustain the work.
There you go.
And I've done that through all of that, and I help districts do that too.
Certainly, I don't mean that everybody can do it. You know, there's an old saying in the Southeastern United States: "Common sense isn't so common." So,
I said it. I mean, you said it, not me.
Yeah, there you go. Right. But we certainly have to have help with that. What I was really trying to refer to is we don't want to be programmed to death. You know, sometimes I think we can over-program to try not to do the common sense stuff that you're talking about with direction. So,
and even more so, sometimes it's fear because there's so many things going on, and you're like, you know what, I want to keep my job because there's certain compliance things that I have to adhere to. There's a lot of politics going on, and I don't want to play politics, but at the same time, I have no choice. So sometimes you just need someone who's I would say, tried and proven. To kind of support you, guide you, and that's basically what we do in our at GOMO to support those districts.
Well, I think as educational leaders, we understand that particularly in today's climate, some of the best work is sometimes reinforcing the things that you already believe in through external help or assistance. I absolutely agree with and support that. So, got a question for you. I think might be appropriate. Hint, it might help me too. I'm asking a question that probably helped me too a little bit. After a successful career as a professional educator, as you've already alluded to, you chose to become an entrepreneur. What prompted you to do so, and then what advice would you give to others with similar aspirations?
So after my assistant superintendency, it was always my desire, even before it, to work at my alma mater. So I graduated from Rutgers, Newark, and I was like, I always wanted to work in Rutgers, just Rutgers, as in whatever capacity, whether part-time or full-time. I had the honor and pleasure of getting the job at Rutgers Graduate School of Education. And I worked there for a number of years as a director for RISE. That was, as you stated in my bio. The pandemic required the institute, because it was revenue generating at the time, to close. So as the dean needed to close, whatever number of institutes in mining that were included, she said, take the work and just go out there and be great, as you were doing for RISA. This was something that I had a dilemma. I never knew that I could go out on my own. I never really believed that. And I have a trailer on social media. I speak about that. And there's a number of people out there who also believe that they can't. What offered me the opportunity was I had the unemployment to kind of buffer, because Rutgers, as a revenue generating institute, that's my backup. If we didn't make enough money, I always got the Rutgers tuition to be able to kind of back us up, to pay myself as well as like the team. But now on my own, I was like, maybe the unemployment can kind of hold it just a little bit.
Right.
People already knew me as like the Rutgers GSC brand for PD, and they liked what came through my institute. So I just took a chance, and my thing was, if I'm going to fail, I'm going to go hard at it and then fail rather than not try at all. This was like the perfect opportunity, as far as like the unemployment was my buffer, my protecting point. So as I went in, took that chance, people said, you know what, we're willing to join along with you. There was certain clients that said, you know what, we didn't care about Ruggers, we just cared about you. And that's what really led me to go forward with it. And as newer individuals who were looking based on need of the districts or other organizations saying that we like you, we're not sure if you actually perform these things, and they're just trusting and giving us a chance. And then we just show them how we are the right organization to work with. That is what's helped us sustain the work that we've been working with now as an organization, and even becoming stronger to offering services and platforms that we had not even existed or thought we could ever perform in. So I want to say thank you to those districts or individuals that have, and those that will believe us to try new things with you.
And I heard you talk about determination. Determination sometimes, though, is internal. Yet you've built this amazing brand, and the 2 times I've seen you, you had on shirts that represented your organization. So talk to us a little bit about that aspect of it. Once you've got the determination, and this is what I'm going to do, there's still work that has to be put into it to get to where you are. So what about that? What drove you in that direction? Was it all laid out and planned out, or have you had to develop that over time?
So I'm going to say this. When I graduated from college with a bachelor's in biology,
okay,
my intent was always to become a medical doctor, even though I was told Black men at that time could not become medical doctors. You got to find another route. So I figured I would probably become a veterinarian because there was a program in St. Kitts that took people of color at another route outside the United States, and they got to take an extra test to come back in. I decided to take a different route on a master's in biomedical science, but I couldn't get my fellowship. Then my mom said, get into subbing as an avenue just to be able to generate some money while you're in your master's program.
Uh-huh.
So I realized this passion, but ultimately I realized, wait, I love this teaching. I want to do it, but I still need to become a doctor. So the goal was, I'm now going to become a doctor in whatever I do, which happened to be education, which I obtained. I'm circling it to show you that I didn't know what I was going to, how this company was going to go. It's more like, let me just make a minimum amount of money so I could be able to provide for my family. Yes, it may not be as much with taxes and everything else, but my family knows, and I know that I can at least at minimally provide for them.
Right.
But what has gone in is there were times I felt that I was stifled, at any position that under the public sector that I couldn't do because of bureaucracy. I'm able to do now as a company owner. I do get to see what things succeed, what things don't, because there's a number of things that we design or I design. I remember like one platform I designed, one project I did for a platform 2 years ago. It never sold. Now it's starting to sell because it was just ahead of its time. It just wasn't right for a community. The determination was like, I still designed it and was just ready to see how we modify and make it more appropriate for districts to be able to receive if they're just not ready for that sort of topic or that level of work or groups of districts. So those are things that I've been able to do because of being out on my own. So it's like, I'm just constantly determined. If there's a need, let me see what my team and I can push forward. How not just be received, but then districts are going to tell other districts about it, because it's only but so much funds that you have also. And it's like, we can only do this much. And it's like, well, we couldn't do it this year. What can we do next year? But in the meantime, we're going to tell another district about you. So it's like the word of mouth is another thing that keeps, one, the drive, but two, us going to be able to support each other, but even more so to be ever present wherever else we need to go. Because I don't want any limitations as far as like, if a district in California, then another one wants to go in Alaska, then go to Arizona the next day. If there's a need and they really want GOMO, we want to be able to be out there to support them.
And you're staying ready to do that.
Oh, we are ready. Absolutely. And what's that saying? If you stay ready, you never have to be ready.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I've heard that one. So, Dr. Falaise, how do we reconnect schools to the communities which they serve?
So one of the things is the communities sometimes in some areas or factions do not mimic the expectations and even values of the district. One of the ways you do that is the board is who represents the community. If the board is educated on what the district is doing, it's not just passing a policy, but we're looking to really educate and show them educationally what we're going to do for not just the school district, but the community. That's one phase as far as educating them, getting them experience the type of dynamics. So superintendents should be training the board, whether through board retreats or whatever it may be. Maybe even having small pieces of it. It could be a small skit or something at a board meeting so that the community kind of understands that. And what it does is brings back the mission and vision of the school district, because like if there's any antithesis of those expectations, we can go back to what did we say we're going to do, and it's written in our mission and vision. And these are the kind of activities that we're looking to bring to the district. So we're saying, regardless of this person's or this group is going against that, this is what's helping. And even more so, let's get student voices in there, and that will further cement. If the students know what they want and they're feeling certain ways, we're doing it that way. So you're looking one from the community down to the students, and then we're constantly training teachers, building things with values and value statements with teachers. So that's an ongoing piece that's always taking place. But getting the community on par is what we do, is help districts with, it's called community conversations, or we call it community talks. Okay. Some light touch points, because you're not going to really train someone who is there for 1 hour or 2 hours, maybe once a month or once, every quarter. So it's like, what kind of conversations that we can kind of give them collectively to get a sense of what the district's trying to do. And in some cases, to me, a hint for those who really want it, they start doing their own research and getting excited and finding groups. I would say that people love success. And especially if the district is moving successfully, then other people start coming like, wait, how can we go against it? Their success. And again, you got students saying it, staff believing it and seeing it, admin supporting it. The community will automatically just come on. So it's like, in some cases, because it may be new, those are things where you got to see like who's really behind it, supporting, pushing, and especially if you get those individuals who are the loudest to really see it and champion it. That's what's going to really move the district.
Wonderful. Oh, that's good stuff. And I knew you were going. I knew that I was going to hear some amazing things. And reconnection, in my opinion, is a very big thing, because somehow or another we're being painted as adversaries, and that's a two-way thing. It's we've got to do some things differently collectively to reach out and engage in those things.
That's true.
To make sure that we are that we are in conjunction with the communities that we serve, because that's really what schools are supposed to be about. Providing a product of learning and facilitation for children. So, simple question. Not a simple answer.
I have not given a simple answer yet. But first
no, and I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. We're learning a lot. Why, though, should a district or a charter school or an organization of learning work with GOMO? Why? This is
my moment.
This is your moment.
This is my moment. Okay. And I got to seize my moment. Yeah. I want to give a strong example that just recently happened, and I just told Dr. Wright. A charter school district just reached out to me 2 weeks prior to last week. A vendor had backed out on them, and 3 weeks before that, I had just presented to a county curriculum consortium. So these are like directors, supervisors, assistant superintendents of districts who come to find out, things about vendors and hear from them. And they were moved by what I presented. When that vendor that backed out on them, their top of mind was, let's call Dr. Josue Falaise from GOMO. It turned out that day I was available, and during our pre-planning meeting, they sent me emails as far as like, we need like implicit bias and microaggression training, which is really implicit bias. There's a lot of things going on. So when I had my pre-planning meeting with them, just hearing all the things that they presented, I took my notes. I said, sounds like there's a concern with like touchy topics, like people are unsure. Once with those touchy topics like the Israel-Palestine conflict, they named the LGBTQIA plus race. So how does staff kind of navigate that, whether it's coming from staff to staff, community to the staff, or even students to staff? So I normally have a cultural competency training where we have a series that brings people to understand culture. However, they had an immediate need, and this was my first touch point with them. And quite frankly, we have not had a contract with them, and I knew that the touch points had to be different. So my team and I designed a session called Teaching Touchy Topics for them. And what it allowed us to do is cover all these pieces, look at the dynamics as far as when they receive the touchy topics, things about how they silence. We got a theory on the cycle of socialization by Bobby Harrow, the 3 phases as far as like beginning, the enforcement to the results. Once how people, when they begin, are clear, they're clean slate, like there is nothing biased or nothing about them, but they're socialized, at home, at school, then it's reinforced or enforced at school, at home, at church. And then the result is, because of these things, they're now remaining quiet, they're angered, or status quo, not moving. So I went through all these different things as far as like I'll give you a perfect example as far as like Black people are violent or dangerous or thieves, and it's reinforced through media. You're seeing this in documentation. So and the result ultimately is, when a Black person does it because of all the oppression, not having opportunities, now it feels like, what's the use of trying, because the society is going to end up hating me. I don't need to keep going. However, there's a part on that psychosocialization goes, there are people who want to change the direction. Okay. And when I went through that, I said, when we want to change direction, this is where people are standing up, becoming educated. There's different things they're looking to do to empower themselves, empower the community. And we spent more time on that, not just on these other areas. And then I gave them strategies on how they can do that for their community and in their schools, actual tangible strategies. I even had them do it for themselves first, so they can show that you got the skills, but let me show you even more and articulate. And I mentioned all that to say, we may have certain training templates to certain things, because at least it gets us a start. Once we meet with you and plan, we realize that each district and sometimes even each classroom in a school is different. So we need to do different things. So we can create something authentically based on your need, or we can modify something currently, or just, again, something totally brand new because it never existed. That's what our team is challenged to do. That is the GOMO brand. And if that's something that districts are interested in, we want to work with you. We want to hear those challenges, because this is a space where, one, I see the companies being typecasted just for like equity. So any district that tends to say, oh, no, we don't do equity, we're not worried about equity is embedded. Or, they want to stay on like social emotional learning to like compartmentalize themselves. Like, all we do is SEL. We're not just doing SEL. Everything is integrated, everything we want to do. So if you want to call us in for a content area, language arts, science, we're going to integrate equity with social emotional learning strategies. We're going to, in those core competencies, we even articulate to you how it's not just compartmentalized, but it's coherent, just as I did with my school. So I just want to show you that all these things that we're trying to change the way that PD looks. We're really pushing hard to deliver the best type of experience for clients or potential clients, and that's the opportunity that I would like to be able to express for my team, the GOMO family, that we're looking to do with you and for you. And it's not just PD. So if you want things like to talk to your community, those conversations, if you want an audit for your culture, if you want to attend a conference, if you want to be part of a network where districts are coming together and building upon knowledge in areas for each other, then we are that organization for you.
And you also do some keynote speaking.
I apologize. How got to forget those keynote speaking? This is an area, an opportunity where people are looking to have your staff just on the same page. In some cases, if you didn't do it at the beginning of the year, we get calls middle of the year. We guarantee you're going to be moved, and we would like that opportunity to be able to share that message to everyone all at once. And then let's start doing some real work together with you. That's why you call GOMO. And then we have a hashtag. It's always hashtag why GOMO. And I always say, like, people wonder, like, what's all this thing? All those reasons are what I'm saying is hashtag why GOMO and everything we do.
Okay. All right. I about 20 years ago, I was a middle school principal, and I coined a phrase that I wish I had gotten a copyright to, but it reminds me of the work that you do. I used the acronym TEAM, TEAM, and tailoring education for all minds, and that's kind of what I hear you talking about doing. I wish I had copywritten that 20 years ago, but anyway. I might. Anyway,
the next combo.
Yeah, there you go. But moving forward with this, you certainly have been very enlightening. Is there anything else that you might want to share with my audience that I failed to ask you at this point?
I think I pretty much covered everything in small bits.
Okay.
But if anyone is interested in finding more, meeting with me, I know that Dr. Wright, you're going to put it, but it's www.GOMO, that's GOMO, edservices.com, as you see at the bottom of the screen.
I think I've got it ready to go there.
There it is. That's ultimate. If you want to do that way, we can get a start the conversation. If you would like, what I talked to Dr. Well before we got on this thing here is sometimes if the district is just looking just for a taste, we just want to see what it's about.
Right.
Give us the opportunity to give you a taste, and that's what we show you. And then and that's what actually that district did. They called me for that one session 2 weeks ago, and they got a taste. And at the end, they said, you know what? Do you mind if we call you back and bring your company and you can bring your team for more work? And my response to them was absolutely, that was the intent. So give us that opportunity where we would love it, and to work with you, to work with your community, and help do some real work, real change. And I always, before I put the hashtag why GOMO, I always say it's just the beginning. Wait and see.
Okay. All right. Dr. Falaise, if you will hold on with me for just a minute, I need to talk about next week's show, or actually 2 weeks from now, and then we'll come back and close out the show. So just hang in there with me for a minute.
Not a problem.
On January 4th of 2024, isn't it amazing? We're getting ready to go to 2024. I will have a guest. Her name is Ms. Amber Middleton. Ms. Middleton is a veteran educator. She has taught for many years. And recently, she is a new author. She's just published a book. It is called He Said, She Said, God Said. And it's a look at disabilities and challenges through a Christian child's perspective. Ms. Middleton grew up in Maryland, and she is, as I said, a veteran educator. We're looking forward to having her on the Wright Experience. That'll be January 4th, 2024 at 7:00 p.m. You'll be able to view that show on our Facebook Live platform as well as YouTube. And for free, I'll tell you that Miss Middleton is also a cousin of mine. We're very proud of the work that she's doing and looking forward to that, as well as continuing to provide you the very best programming that we can find. Dr. Falaise, thank you, my friend, for being a part of this. Such an enlightening conversation. We're looking forward to continuing to formulate this partnership that we're about to embark in. And I just want to say to you that this platform here on the Wright Experience is open. I mean, anytime that you want to come back and share with us some of the wonderful things, we'll be checking in with you on the work that you're doing. And when that book gets published, we'll have this platform ready.
Hold up.
To be able to work with you and so forth. So just thank you for agreeing to be a part of this work that we're trying to do. And we look forward to continuing to hearing the wonderful things that you're doing.
It is my honor and pleasure to return. And thank you for just this initial experience.
Absolutely. And to the Wright Experience audience, thank you and good evening.